For practicing creating different values in a still life, there's nothing better than having some white geometric forms laying around. But they're hard to find, so I'm going to show you here how to make your own. Here, the cylinder's pretty easy. It's just a rolled up piece of paper. I also have a cube that I made, and I used this cube in a photo reference for a live lesson not too long ago, and I want to show you how I made this form. It's relatively easy, and there's patterns that exist on the internet. I'm going to share the pattern that I used for this cube on this page. Actually, right below you'll see the pattern for this cube that you can make your own. This is what it looks like once it's unfolded. It's very easy to make. You do need to have a ruler and a pencil handy to create the pattern that you're going to use. I'm going to show you how to cut it out so it's real easy to fold. We're going to do a pyramid here in just a second. I'm going to show you how to make a different form other than a cube. And I'm also going to link to a really cool site that's got a bunch of different geometric forms that you can make and the patterns for those on this page as well. So if you want to go crazy with this and make a bunch of different forms that you can use to draw in a still life, you can go right to it. So anyway, first of all, you're going to need to have some thicker paper to do this. It's not going to work too well with just drawing paper, although you could use drawing paper. Heavier paper like cardstock or watercolor paper is going to work better for you. You're also going to need to have a pencil to draw out the plan, and I'm going to be using an X-Acto blade to cut it out here momentarily. So I just went ahead and sketched things out very lightly with a pencil, and then once I've got it cut out or drawn out with a ruler, I'm going to go ahead and take my X-Acto knife and cut it out. Alright, now I've put a little bit of heavier paper underneath my paper so I don't cut into the table. That might be a good idea for you as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to line up my ruler with the line, and then I'm going to make several different cuts. And I don't have to push real hard on the X-Acto blade. As long as I make several little pass-throughs with the ruler there, it will cut through the paper. I see a lot of people try to make the cut that counts the first time, and when you're trying to cut out something exact, that's not always the best way to do it. It's better to make several cuts with a ruler, and it will ensure that you have a nice clean cut. So I'm going to work all the way around my pattern here and go ahead and pull out my pattern. Now all that's left to do is make the folds, but you'll see if you try to make a fold with a heavier paper, it just kind of bends the paper. So what you're going to want to do is create what are called score cuts, and these are very, very light cuts in heavier paper. So again, I'm going to use my ruler, go right along the edge, and I am putting very minimal pressure on my X-Acto knife. Then when I bend it, because of that score cut, it's very easy to bend it, and it bends it straight on a nice sharp line, which is what we're after anyway. So again, you're going to want to make little score cuts along these lines to help the folding process. So we'll go ahead and make another score cut here, and I'm just going to make 2 or 3 pass-throughs very lightly, like I'm making a very light line with a pencil. And that's going to create a nice little score cut so it doesn't go all the way through the paper, just maybe a quarter of the way through the paper. That's how delicate this cut needs to be. We'll do it right along this line as well, because that's going to need to fold in. That makes life a whole lot easier here making these score cuts. Do the same thing on the 3 lines that remain. Just a couple or 3 pass-throughs. Now, the thicker your paper, you might have to make more than 3 passes with your score cut. Bristol paper works great for this too. It's kind of a thicker paper like cardstock. Here I'm using just some watercolor paper I had laying around. Alright, once we got all our score cuts made and we've got our folds made, we can go ahead and put this shape together, this form together. And maybe with a little bit of tape in the inside or some glue, you can take this up and you'll have a nice pyramid to use. And you can do the same thing with the cube. Again, I will include patterns for both of these forms below on this page, and I'll also link to that website that I found that's got all different kinds of these forms that you can make out of paper. So again, you can kind of create some crazy still lifes, put you a nice strong light source up there, and go to town drawing the different values that you see. It's a great drawing exercise, and these forms are great to have laying around to work in your sketchbook, or just to practice a little bit with value. So I hope you enjoy making your forms, and good luck on drawing the still lifes that you use them for.